because they don't have
Coach.
a Zoom option. You can't go, because they don't have a Zoom option. You can't go.
I know. Yeah. And George always argues for it. I like when you argue. Being me in motion too.
You guys ready?
Yes.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the North Branford Planning and Zoning regular meeting, February 2nd, 2023 at 6:35. We're going to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to introduce the commission members sitting here tonight. To my immediate left is Bill Godlenzi, our vice chair for the commission tonight. And to his left is Trish Mace. She's also a regular member. And to the far left of Trish is Perry Ponder, an alternate member to the commission this evening. To my immediate right is Chuck Urbano, secretary for the commission. To his right is Scott Lanza? Lanza is also another alternate member to the commission. To his right, and our recording secretary tonight is Kim Slater. And also sitting at the staff table is David Perkins, our town planner. And again, my name is Bob Nowak, chairman of the commission this evening. So this evening we have two alternate members with us tonight, which is a rarity, and everyone here sitting is awesome to see everybody. With that being said, there's 5 members on the commission, so we do have an application in front of us this evening that we're going to review, and only 5 members are voting members out of the 6 that are seated here today. So with that being said, one of the alternate members will be not being able to vote, but can participate and in the discussions and things like that, if I'm correct.
Absolutely.
And so in this particular case, I'm going to have Scott Lanza, the voting member for the 5-member commission this evening, and Barry, you could be the alternate member just here. So we appreciate you coming and participating this evening. Next order of business is to consider approval of our minutes from 3 meetings. We have October 6th, December 8th, and January 5th. So the October 6th meeting, there was 3 members present, Bill, Ron, and Chuck. Ron is not present. There's not a majority. There's only 3 members, but not enough to, if I understand it correctly, to approve the minutes. Is that
Correct.
right? Okay,
Yes, sir.
so we're going to table October 6th until we have Ron, Bill, and Chuck all present for that meeting. The next one is December 8th, of which we had myself, Bill, Trish, Ron, and Barry. So Barry was an alternate at the meeting with myself, Bill, and Trish, and Barry. That's a majority.
Yes.
And he can, since he's not seated, but he can still approve the minutes
Yes.
on our behalf?
Yes.
Okay. So why don't we take a moment to review the minutes, and if you have any adjustments, corrections to the minutes, I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes for December 8th, 2022. Good? Yeah. That's right.
No comments.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 8th, 2022.
We have a second?
I second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Abstained?
I'll abstain from that.
Okay. With that being said, motion carries on the December 8th meeting minutes for approval. Wait, unless I missed something. The next meeting for review and approval and comment is January 5th. Again, there was 3 members present, myself, Ron, and Chuck. There's not a majority for that to be approved, so we're going to table the January 5th meeting minutes. So that concludes that agenda item. Moving on to new business. We have an application number 22-10-103, Middletown Avenue I-2 zone, a site plan review for construction of a new medical building and associated site work, owner Vincent Capasso, applicant James Pretty, Criscudo Engineering LLC.
Oh, these are the new ones for tonight.
Yeah, is there any,
Is that one right? That the one?
I have no idea. The one mailed was old.
Would we-
yeah, is there any difference between the mailed one versus
Yes.
the one?
Yeah.
There is. This is,
Would you name,
Yeah.
state your name and your address for the record for us?
Good evening, Jim Preddy, Criscolo Engineering, 420 East Main Street in Branford. Also with me is Vinny Capasso, the owner of the property. This property at 103 Middletown Avenue is on the south side of 17. Vinny's office was in here for a while, and now he moved into the renovated building just that's actually one property away. John's Refuse is on the other side of the street. North Haven Town Lines here, just sort of orient you. Again, existing two buildings on the site that are commercial use. It's been various construction-related uses there. What Mr. Capasso would like to do is put a new medical office building in the front area. It's 2 stories with the basement for storage. Total is about 6,000 square feet. But it's only about a 3,600 square foot footprint. Again, coming in off the existing driveway that's here now, services these 2 buildings down to this cul-de-sac. The 2 driveways into the parking. We have the number of parking that's required for this use. This will have a septic system because there aren't sewers here. That septic system is, this is an enlarged view of just the portion of the site. The septic system under the parking lot here, which has been reviewed by East Shore. We have a in-ground stormwater storage system in the front yard that will handle the runoff from the 100-year storm over the collected area of the pavement and roof. We are providing a zero net increase overall for this whole developed area. The one thing that I know we don't have yet, but it's shortly coming, is a lighting plan. Quite honestly, it's not a very big area, so I think there's going to end up only being a couple of poles, but we will have that shortly. Again, driveway in, driveway, they're both 2 ways, but there is two separate driveways in off of this main driveway here. But the handicap parking in the front, next to a ramp, which is not very, the slope sections are not very long. It's only a total of about 12 feet of ramp to a couple, two 6-foot sections. Patio sort of entrance that goes into the front here. At this end of the site, we have some EV charging stations, which we've provided some details that I'm sure as time goes on, by the time this gets installed, they will probably evolve a little more, because I understand that that's a relatively new thing being pushed from the state and the federal level, and the details are not exactly all worked out yet. I'm running into this in Branford as well. They have something they've used, but it's still not part of what's mandated. What I understand is they tell you have to have them, but they don't tell you how you have to have them. But as things go on, that may get hammered out anyway. Just to give you a kind of a sense for things.
before you, where is the septic?
Under the parking lot.
Oh, there, sorry, there.
The other buildings already have septic systems actually behind this building here.
Gotcha.
So we did provide plans and elevations, so you can have a sense for what the building is going to look like, all 4 sides, and then there's floor plans. There is an elevator involved. There was a comment from the fire chief.
What is facing the street?
So this is,
Be the back of the building?
Yeah, it's the back of the building.
yeah, so
That's what I
this
wanted to see.
this is from Middletown Avenue, and then this is from the back. So
Okay, so you're looking when you drive by.
yeah, I mean, they're almost
Yeah.
identical. But, yeah, what you're looking at here is that there's a little sort of a entrance patio area here, that's what these walls sort of enclose. But the building does have an elevator. We did provide a place for future generator. And
It's a
just-
medical facility for like dentist office, like.
Yeah, I mean, right,
Yeah,
that's what
it'd be,
you're,
it'd be
private
light
practice.
General practice, dentist or medical.
Oh,
doctor.
okay.
No procedures, planned, no procedures.
I just, because based on the layout, I was like, I wonder what's gonna go here. I didn't know if you already had like a tenant in mind or, what type of doctor's office.
Yeah, we're talking to a few people, but
Oh, wonderful.
no one's committed yet, but, which is not a problem.
Okay.
We did provide a landscape plan, which I kind of colored up here just to give you a sense for green space versus hardscape. But there were some comments from the town planner and the town engineer, which I think we've addressed, with the exception of the lighting plan, which is forthcoming.
Okay, that's what I wrote down. So I didn't hear what you said. So you don't have a lighting plan, but.
No,
it's okay.
it's in progress.
Yep. SD's is right going, isn't that?
SD's is,
SD is the old.
Is it in the other
Ronald
building?
facility that we occupy now.
Oh, that you moved into SD?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
we
That-
renovated it and,
Yeah, you put that structure on the front of it.
yes, we
Yeah.
tore down, we
Yeah.
didn't do anything to the footprint, we just
Yeah.
tore down
Nice.
the
Looks nice.
garage and a few offices there, and we made all new offices in that whole area.
Commission member questions or comments?
Do we talk, or do we need to talk about the other questions in the, or statements in the fire chiefs?
he did mention
Like
an
the ambulance
elevator
transports?
and ambulance access if necessary. So if an ambulance came in here, they would stop really right in front of the building, and this is where the ramp is, so
Okay,
somebody had to get wheeled in or out,
okay.
I'm assuming. And we do have another driveway, so if they were blocking the driveway for some reason, people can still get out.
Yeah, he said, I would like to ensure that ample parking exists with access to the handicap ramps in case an ambulance needs to transport someone from the physician's office.
Yeah, there's our handicap parking right next to the ramp.
All right.
Did you say we have elevations? We don't have, you have elevations, we do
Yeah,
not.
they should be
right?
in the, should be at the end of the package.
I don't have it. Unless maybe the original,
Uh,
the original one has
The
it.
original has it.
Okay,
sure.
that's all right, I just want, I mean, it looks good. Any chance we get a new building that's against the road, we like to make sure it has some kind of nice look, rural architecture, whatever, I mean, looks, that's why I asked the question.
Yeah, can I have some light stonework on it?
So I have a question for you, Jim. So on the plan itself, could you walk us through the history of how it became to what it is today? I'm a little confused on the plans. It says areas subject to right-of-way to pass and repass on foot or any vehicle in favor of the westerly adjoining, which is the whole access road. So I'm a little confused on the address is for Route 17, but the property is very linear, and you're using a road that's, I believe, town property,
It is town property, but it's not a town road.
but it's not a town road.
Right.
Okay, so there's a gate on that access to that property. Is that also going to be, is that put in by the town for
No, that road was put by us when we built our previous facility, and because of that property that existed, we had the right of way to the town road in the deed. And we actually purchased 2 additional acres from the town a while back to create that warehouse. But we put the gate there because it was just us back there in the town, so we didn't want just someone to. So we're gonna probably move that gate back to where the new tenant is, which it opens up. So no one needs to go past that point. And with the gate will not be there any longer.
So you maintain the road, you plow the road, you use the road, but it's town property?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Just need to make sure
gives your name and address when he speaks.
Sorry.
And also, the front of the building is, there's just gonna look like a house, because
Yeah,
we
I see.
lived there, we worked there.
Yeah.
My mother's right across the street, my sister's next door.
Yeah, this
so
is his sister's
we
house.
we've been trying to, we've been beautifying the area for quite a long time, especially that side, you know. Because I also own the house in front of the street, which
Yeah.
we're working on, and right now we own a strip of land that was along SD, AMA, and JP, which was just a dumping ground, so we cleaned it all up and put fresh grass there and so on. Working our way back.
So Vinny, you put the access road in to get to the back of the property.
Yes, I paved that access road, but there was a dirt road or gravel road in previously, because when the town acquired it, it was just a stinkweed used to mine the area for the rock and sand for I-91 to go across from New Haven to North Haven. That's what that was used for back in the days.
So the cul-de-sac, at the end of the cul-de-sac, you own all that?
Yes, I own part of the cul-de-sac, part of the cul-de-sac belongs to the town. To get into their other, where they have additional land at the time.
Okay, so the driveway to the new facility really is the driveway that accesses your other buildings?
Yes,
It's the same driveway.
But the driveway, and if I understand it was correctly, was 08 and 22 was the updated final maps, if I understand it correctly? Final as-built based on field survey, October 08 and July of 22. That's encompassing the two new buildings that, well, the buildings that exist on the property today,
Yeah,
A and B?
Because when we did the thing originally, this wasn't here, this got built later.
That got
yes,
built later.
correct.
Okay.
Built later.
Then we went back out, we hadn't surveyed we hadn't done any topography in the front, because there wasn't anything going on there at the time, so we went back out and shot all the grades here for this project in 22.
In 22, right. So the driveway to the new facility is really, I don't know how the driveway you installed, to what standard you built it to? But
I
really
think
isn't it?
it had a binder course, we never put the top course because it was just us, but it's, we would probably update it, upgrade it, like, or we would not upgrade, we would add the binder course, the finish course on top of it now, because we want to make it look nice, you know. We'll pave right up to where it opens up to the warehouse area.
Right. To what standard? I don't know what standard you're gonna
City,
utilize.
actually, it's a good question.
You know what I mean?
We would open it up to town standards.
It's the town property, town road, right? So I'd assume you'd have to
And
build
they
it
make
to
us
town
do it,
sta-
right. The
Town standards?
Yep. I would do the town standard leading up to where it opens up wide, you know.
Did Victor see this? Did Victor have any comments?
Say that again?
I was wondering if Victor had any comments. This is a
Victor
very
has
good question.
comments, but he really received the stormwater management report yesterday.
Okay.
So, and he's going to Florida, so
Yep.
he's not ready.
I think,
I think-
to your question, he didn't have comments about the
Okay.
pavement, if that's what you're
Yeah.
alluding to. He didn't get into that. But if we're gonna repave it, we'll coordinate that with him and do it to whatever standards he's.
Yeah, okay. Because that, cars will use this, right, to access it?
Well, all the cars, there's
Yeah.
cars that use these buildings now.
Yeah, yeah.
But the cars for this will also use a portion of this driveway, yes. So that's what Vinnie's saying, we repaved this up to here anyway,
Yeah.
as part of this.
Is there a sign there? I know there's a sign where the stones
It's
are to the
actually on
driveway.
it's on, so he owns this other property too, there's actually a sign that's been there for years on the other
Oh,
property.
'cause I'm just
that
thinking-
Identify these.
Yeah, I was just thinking, because I drive by there all the time, and I'm like, I would, because this is, if I'm facing the gate, this is to the right of the gate?
Facing gate is on the left.
It's on the left, it's on the over here.
No, the building's going on the
It'll
left.
say Dayhill on it right
Oh,
now.
all right.
We had our
'Cause I'm
sign
just,
here.
Yeah.
just for people pulling
Yeah,
up.
his
'cause
sign is
it's-
there, moved over.
Okay.
You should incorporate the driveway.
Do we have a, so the name of the place will just go on that sign that's already there?
Yes.
The reason why I bring it up is because I didn't think the driveway was wide enough as it exists right now for you to service with fire trucks, ambulances, and a medical building that you want to bring in there.
Sure.
To do that. That also is the curb cut and the radius coming into the building. It suited your purposes, but now you're up in your game a little bit, you know what I mean?
So
So,
as far as the street, in front of the street, you have the radius for all emergency vehicles that it was designed to take in tractor trailers, 18-wheelers. But maybe the width might not be there, but it's very close. But we could always take care of that per town requirements, you know? It's not an issue.
So again, Victor didn't comment specifically on the pavement, but we can discuss, you know, if we're gonna repave this section, we could discuss that with him if he wants to make it wider or whatever the pavement section he wants to see there. Absolutely.
I mean, if you come and see our new facility, you'll see the upgrade to what we would do to, we don't want to make it to look too commercialized because, you know, we're
Yeah.
running residents next door. So we're going to try to make it look really like a house in the front because we're going to do all the work. We're going to do all the stonework, all the hard stucco, brickwork. And with that said is that we want to make it look nice. My sister lives, like I said, next door, so we want to.
That's the house right here?
Yes.
Yeah, this one.
I don't know, the town line is so close. For the fire trucks and the width, that's Victor and fire people, or it's just Victor
Fire-
determines that?
Fire marshal should weigh in on that as well,
Okay.
yes.
The, fire
I didn't
chief-
see any comments from the fire marshal yet.
Not
Fire
yet.
chief
He's,
did.
they're CC'd on the,
I think I sent you the fire marshal one.
Yeah, here it is, yeah, right there.
The
well, that's
chief,
fire
I
chief.
saw the one from the chief. I didn't see one from-
yeah, there's two. One for
Oh,
each
where's
one.
the other one?
Yeah, there's two.
Oh, it's from the town.
yeah, so,
Do we need to read these into the record? Or just acknowledge receipt?
Meaning read them verbatim into the record? No, I think we just have to, yeah,
Okay.
say that we got
yeah,
this.
we have it.
Yeah.
So we do have Department of Fire Services, Office of Fire Marshal, dated January 20th, to David Perkins that we received today for this application. In addition to that, we received from the Fire Services to David, January 26th, 23 for this application from the interim fire chief.
So, yeah, the fire marshal did comment here that, it says, must follow all Connecticut fire safety and preventive codes. Fire department apparatus accessibility is adequate at 24-foot entrance.
Okay, yeah.
So that means the
I
fire
don't,
trucks
I don't have
fit.
my scale, but I thought this road was already 24 feet there. But that's something we could easily double check or adjust, you know, if it's a foot off or whatever, it's not, we're gonna repave it anyway, so.
Right, okay. The fire chief says, want to know if there's any medical gases on the premises, and if so, the appropriate quantities. Will it be an elevator?
So there is an elevator,
Ambulance?
there is an elevator inside, and they're not doing procedures here, so oxygen would be, you know, small tanks, nothing big.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? David, do you have comments, questions?
I would just
concerns?
mention that we were here a couple of weeks ago to get a variance. The
Correct.
property is split, and part of it's in North Haven and parts of it is in North Branford. So it was suggested that we get a variance because the setback distance from the structure to the town line is 4 feet?
4 feet.
4 feet, but we've maintained the setback distance from the structure to the property line.
Yep.
And technically, you really didn't need a variance because in zoning, as long as you're set back to the property line, we don't really care about town lines. And if they had a problem on the North Haven side, they would regulate that.
Correct. And I had met with Alan Frederickson, the land use administrator on the North Haven side. He said, as long as we weren't paving or putting building on the piece that's in North Haven, they don't need an application.
Okay.
So,
There also is a new state regulation that requires people building a structure that requires more than 30 parking spaces to have 10% of those parking spaces be electric vehicle charging stations.
What percentage?
10%.
10%
10%.
of 30, starting at 30. This one,
Right at 30.
for good news or bad news, is 30. So they need 3 parking stations, which they have put on their plan. So I commend them for doing that.
So the way I understand it is that you can put the conduit in and sort of opt out and for a future installation. But given the fact that there's going to be doctors here, there's probably a higher chance for electric vehicles, truthfully. So Vinnie said, let's just put them in. So we're putting them in.
And one of those 3 spaces has to be ADA compliant.
Right, which is why there's a striped area in between them. So we have the 3 spaces, the 10%, but one of them is actually another ADA space. So it's ADA and EV. at the same
I
time.
wasn't aware of that.
What's not, the part of it that I was saying before, it's not hammered out, is nobody at the state level could tell you what the sign has to look like. Like the normal ADA signs that's set in stone, but the stuff that is involved in the EV charges, they're just suggestions. There's no hard and fast rules yet.
This is a regulation that hasn't been followed up with
Yeah.
regulations.
Right.
I've seen it.
Okay.
There's no signage on the property at
There-
all?
There isn't, again, there's a sign, existing sign out front that, for the business in the back, and he's gonna add this to it.
And the, as I said before, the town engineer just got the water report, so
Yeah.
he'll review that next week.
So you're just adding the name of the medical building to the existing sign?
Correct.
So you're not
Not
making
building a
it bigger,
monument.
just adding it?
I appreciate sarcasm.
Big internally lit letters.
Yeah, exactly. Flashing.
Shining on his family's houses.
Do we want to see the sign? I'm assuming we want to see it. That's part of our.
Can we
I think
get
it's gonna be-
your name and
That's why
address?
On it?
if it's,
Sure.
if it's an existing sign, they're just adding.
Yeah, it's
Sure.
not like.
Yeah, just
the ones
approach the
over at,
microphone,
thanks.
and then.
He has a
So
thing.
much seating.
My name is Vincenzo Capasso, and I live at 28 Cook Road, Wallingford, Connecticut, and I am the owner of 1003 Middletown Avenue.
Thank you.
I don't know if it was mentioned, but we have public water there, we just recently installed, we hooked up to it, our new facility, sprinkler and domestic water. So it was a big undertaking, but we did it. We carried it all the way down the road on the trucking terminal side. And there's a fire hydrant directly across the street from the driveway.
All right, can you come here and look, it's going where? This is what I'm confused about, I can't orient. So like, here's the gated driveway, it's going here or here?
No, there's a sign here already.
Like, that's the main driveway, right? So where's this building going? Just, because I'm a visual person, yeah, where's the medical?
Building's going.
Yeah, the medical building is going there,
Yes.
yeah.
John's
Thank
car
you.
is right there.
Yeah, I just didn't know, I'm bad with visuals.
That's the only thing I.
Because like gated driveway to the right, so it's going there.
Yeah.
Thank you, that was helpful.
Ron.
I can't, these, I don't understand, it's like another language.
So, all due respect, I have 3 applications in Bradford tonight. Is this not actionable tonight because we don't have town engineer's final comments on the lighting plan?
I think that's the
Add
next.
in the other, something else, right?
I
What else did Victor get that he didn't have a chance to review?
Say that again?
You said Victor had.
Stormwater.
Stormwater,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I,
Yeah. Stormwater and lighting, right?
I would recommend putting it
Yeah.
off until our
Mhm.
next meeting.
Yeah.
So with that being said, then we'll carry on a continuance until the next meeting and with the new information.
and hopefully there'll be time, I know Victor's away, but there'll be time, hopefully ask him about the pavement, and we'll have some sort of an answer for next.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Absolutely. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I think that's it. We don't have to vote on it. Right, that was-
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah, we just continue.
Move it, yeah, continue.
Just move it. We agreed to continue, the applicant agreed. Right? Okay.
Yep. Want me to make a motion?
We'll get answers to the fire marshals.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. So next, new item of business
Oh, we don't-
is, section 824, referral regarding the town of North Branford, 2022-23, 2027-28 capital improvement program for for Connecticut's general statute, section 8-4. Commission members in the. 824? 824. 8-24.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thanks.
Stay warm.
So I'm always confused on why we have this capital improvement program like we did last year. Like, okay,
You can
thank
see how much money we make in
I suppose.
commissioners.
I guess it's.
It's zero, just so you know.
We're not even mentioned.
Spoiler alert.
But what I thought out of this was, unless the commission members looked at it and they have questions or comments regarding it, we can certainly discuss it if anybody had any issues with it, other than not having our name on there.
We would occasionally just, since we have our council members present, sometimes just look at how much like the planner would get for commissioners for like continuing education, you know, like those things. And
Not pizza parties or anything?
no,
Okay.
there's limited and,
It's always been, what do? We recommend it, or?
yeah, we,
Give our
The
blessing.
8-24 statute is basically allows a planning commission to weigh in on a town's disposition or acquisition of property, or widening streets.
Yeah, streets.
Accepting streets, upgrading streets, anything that really has to do with municipal property. You guys get to weigh in and say whether that's in compliance with your plan of conservation and development. If you do not recommend writing a letter in approval of the 824, it can be overridden by 2/3 of the council. So it's a letter of recommendation more than anything. I've, in my years, I've never seen a capital budget be requested via an 824. That seems to be the way it's been done in North Branford for years, so I would just carry on with it and say, sure. You know, they're gonna have to come back to you if the capital plan says that they're gonna acquire a street, or sell a street, or sell a park, or do this or that. They're gonna have to come back again
Yeah.
and get a specific 824 referral. This one's just sort of general in nature because the plan sort of talks about upgrading streets and upgrading parks, but it's all general. So I don't see anything wrong with approving it. It's only a letter of recommendation.
yeah, recommending it, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think looking at it to see what the budget actually has for pizza parties for the planning commission is
There's no
sort of
line item on
outside
it.
of our look at it.
So the only thing that stuck out to me there was development and conservation was kind of like what we kind of do. There was a survey for the old Wall Field, I believe, 1599 Foxen Boulevard, Foxen Road. So then I was looking at some of the line items proposed that weren't funded for recreation was a line item. And they have multiple years of improvements over the years. And that got me to think of our idea of what our holistic view would be of Route 22 would fall under one of those categories over a period of time to budget necessary funds to bring our vision to reality for both Route 22 and Route 80, whatever that may be, whether it be funded or not, but at least it'd be a line item for discussion of our conclusion to what we want to see for North Branford. That's basically what I was thinking in the future, once we come together this year and move our ball down the court, as it were, with your help and the commission's concurrence, we can certainly make it happen, I think. So with that being said, unless anybody else has any question or comments on this capital improvement budget, I'm just going to say the P&Z has reviewed and takes no exception to capital projects proposed. No exception. Is that fair enough?
Fair enough?
Okay.
So we can write a letter that says that?
Is that what we normally do? I have no idea.
I don't know if we kind of just, we normally just ask if there's anyone, almost like a vote.
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't want to make it
vote.
it doesn't have
Oh,
to be,
it is a
I don't
vote?
want to make things complicated, that's for sure, but
I think I'm getting confused with the other one we
I know
refer back.
we don't vote to approve because we're just voting recommend, we're just recommending.
Yeah,
as
we're
you mentioned.
recommending. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think, as long, I just maybe just that,
Exactly.
and anyone have any
Yeah.
comments, you know?
Where'd that come from?
So
There
does
is-
anyone have any comments,
Yeah.
questions, concerns?
I do not.
Okay, then
Anyone else?
how about we entertain a motion to
Stand by.
approve?
There's one coming.
Want me to read it?
Oh, you already got your glasses.
All right, yeah, I know.
Oh, man, nice.
Now you would.
I make a motion that the Planning and Zoning Commission report favorably on the town council's Connecticut General Statute, Section 824 referral on the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 through 2027 to 2028 capital improvement plan.
Have a second?
Second it.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
I have a question. Are we allowed, can I go back and just ask something or state a concern about the medical building, or we have to wait till next meeting?
Well, we kind of tabled it.
Yeah,
All right.
So
I would
why
just
don't-
wait, yeah.
how about you?
Because
wait
I'm not
until
gonna
then?
be here next meeting, so if I wanted to share that, would I just let town planner know? Okay, I'll email, all right.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is other business, POCD review and discussion. So the only item I have on that was, our previous planner, I don't think I gave you a copy of his proposal for the Foxen Neighborhood District?
We just found that this morning.
Okay, I'll keep my copy then.
So I'm not sure where that discussion came from or any background to it. I just sort of saw the document that I ran into this morning.
So it was an evolution from a meeting from Economic Development Commission,
Okay.
our joint venture together, and a discussion on how to improve zoning along the Route 80 corridor. And out of that discussion evolved this document that you have, where it added more ability for the property owners to do more things with their property, flexing the zone, as it were, to more conducive to expansion in economic development, basically.
More opportunities,
More uses.
more uses.
More uses.
Yeah.
Right.
He was from Westbrook, and they have a very similar thing in Westbrook. The line's very much with Westbrook. If you-
Again, I sort of looked at it, and I found it like at 3 o'clock this afternoon. So I asked Lynn, I was like, what's this? She says, I don't know.
Mhm.
So that's one of our pieces to move forward in our discussion, so we could kind of move something on the POCD forward, as it
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
So dig
So
into it, look at it, and see what you think.
I mean, I think you already said it, we had members of the Planning and Zoning Economic Development, where we were regularly meeting, and we all kind of agreed, right, in principle, we all, both those commissions together, the members of those two commissions together, supported something like this.
And did this run the whole length of
So that was the next part
Route
of
80,
the,
or?
that was the next part of the conversation, Dave.
Yeah.
Where, Route 80 is a couple miles long, where do we want to start kind of moving this ball forward to say, okay, how about from Twin Lakes to Route 17 or 20, which is
Right.
Notch Hill?
30,
Not
yeah.
sure.
Notch Hill, or somewhere shorter, kind of that zone in there is where, even more narrower than that. Where could we see, there's a lot of homes on there, on Route 80, that it's more commercial, depending on where you are on Route 80?
As opposed to from Notch Hill to the Guilford line?
Right,
Yeah, no,
exactly.
it was-
You're not looking at that?
No.
So that
we're
would,
Thinking towards
that-
East Haven, though, it's maybe.
Well, I think.
would it
yes.
overlap with the North Branford district, overlay district?
Yes, it would encompass that, the North Branford Overlay District, yes, it would. Right, I think one of the discussions with the town council was, where could we improve the sewer? Where could we get the best, my understanding, and I'm not going to speak for Tom Sampano from our town council sitting with us this evening, that basically, what's the best bang for a buck if we're going to do the cost-to-benefit ratio? Where is the best place to put the sewers, and also in our case, where would be the best case to drop this district in place that gets the best bang for the buck for people coming into town to spark economic development? So we're in a quandary where we're going to use it,
Right.
right, in combination with potentially or not, sewer usages, upgrade to the sewer system. If I understand correctly, from the town council meeting, they did an evaluation of all Route 84 sewers, and there was 88 parcels, if I remember correctly, and 5 of them were, that had the ability to be subdivided. I don't know where they were. It was done by, I think, a company named Sampson, so maybe some research to kind of see where those potential improvements could be that would.
Is somebody's car alarm going off or getting broken
Yes.
into?
That was weird, wasn't it?
The ambulance.
Oh, that was an ambulance? Now I hear it, but I don't like car alarm, sorry.
The sewers that we were talking about potentially was from Notch Hill.
Fowler property,
east,
right, going
down
down.
to Guilford, that's where there's no sewers.
No
I
sewers.
believe there's sewers, it's either up to 139 or Notch Hill, I always forget, but then it stops. So-
Okay.
And there's a lot of, what we were thinking, there's a lot of potential down, well, our discussion was there's a lot of potential down there for commercial and industry. You got Fowler Road, Zero Road, Midway, and the Kelly Plaza,
Mhm.
and then the other, the Autech building, Dependable Hydraulics. Then you have the last few plazas where Agway was, or Smith it's called now, or something like that, and, the hardware store and so forth, so.
Okay. So maybe with that understanding, that's a future expansion, right, Tom?
Yes, that's what we're discussing, there's been no decisions, but that's what we were discussing, yeah.
So in light of that information, which is so let's make it 2 parcels, one from here to a certain point, and then that'll be the second evolution, and kind of work through this Foxton neighborhood district, kind of somewhere between Twin Lakes and Firehouse or something like that. Do a small section,
Yeah.
see how we do, and see what the public's receptiveness to that is, and then we'll go from there. Okay?
Very good.
Sound like a plan? Awesome. Any other questions, comments regarding that agenda item? Okay, so let's move on to item B here, 5B.
I guess I would just follow up on the POCD conversation that you and I have had, and we talked about at the last meeting about the Northford Center and how you want to follow up on that overlay district. It seems to me that there's 2 sort of things going on up there. There's the alignment of the state highway that we've been dealing with for the last 20 years, and then there's also a concept of of an access road behind the stores, that would be more of a municipal type, production. The Northford Center Overlay District actually refers to a Northford Center District map, which I think I've sort of finally discovered, and that there's actually sort of a plan that was incorporated as part of the overlay district that has sidewalks and crosswalks and trees without really doing anything to the state highway. And that overlay district talks a lot about architectural embellishments and landscaping and making everything look beautiful, but it really doesn't do anything about the underlying zoning requirements that still make you set back 20 feet from property lines and may not use the properties to the best ability or get the kind of densities in that area that would be conducive to residential use and walking use. I mean, all those plans talk about walking, which is difficult to do right now with the amount of curb cuts and everything else that's up there on that highway. I just sort of want to follow up on those concepts and see what we can develop, because I think the idea's been there for 30 years, but it's never really been pushed recently. But I know, Bob, you're interested in talking about that.
Right. So as a commission, we were looking at a holistic view of Route 22, and I believe, Bill, you pulled up the concept of the 2006 concept plan with a rotary or a T intersection in front of the Sunoco station, and in that plan there was the trees, and I think we all want continuous sidewalks as we've been pushing from Stanley T. I think that plan, if you recall, and I'll describe it, was there were sidewalks from Stanley T. Williams across to the gas station, to the Dunkin' Donuts, all the way up to the Guilford Savings Bank. And there was a trees, landscaping along that same stretch of property, trees and shrubbery and crosswalks, as you described, eliminating several curb cuts to reduce that traffic flow into Route 22, and that was one of our POCD goals, was to reduce that. I create some kind of green space, I believe, in that concept as well. We were not looking at doing anything with the green, I'll call it, in front of the Rite Aid. That was kind of exclusionary to it, because I think our last evolution in discussion was that was not feasible, and there's a lot of pushback, I believe, in 06. So with that being said, one of the other concepts in that plan was also addressing the Route 150 and Route 22 intersection, where it comes in at such a sharp angle that was going to be made into a T intersection with turning lanes in all three legs of that intersection. The plan was developed and surveyed through, or proposed to, the Southern Connecticut Regional Council of Governors. They proposed it. They put money out there to do that. I think the commission would like to pursue that moving forward and see if we can't get on their budget for a review and update of that 06 plan moving forward. Does that sound reasonable to the members here today? Did I kind of summarize it?
Yeah.
So, and of course with lighting, without a doubt.
Right.
So with that being said, what would be our next step, David?
Well, I think we'll just continue our planning process and see if we can get SCROG and the state to help us and possibly look at the underlying zoning for that area as well to make it more conducive for development.
Correct. Yeah. We like to see, I think our ultimate goal is to take the concept plan and then expand it into mixed use for all those properties along there, to give the community and us an idea of where we want to go with it across the board. It may not be something that the property owners want to participate, but give them a vision of what it could be if they decide to do something different with their property.
Right, well, it puts something in their toolbox, so if they want to develop it, they have options.
Right.
If they want to take advantage, that's great. If they don't, you
And
haven't
I-
lost anything.
And the community has some strong individuals who, strong in lighting, and obviously our gentleman who lives right in that general vicinity produced a document, the historical section of Northford, a great resource, and the document he provided the commission, Steve Nugent,
Yeah.
I think. Great document that should be incorporated into in our discussions and the evolution of the product to sell it to the community, definitely without a doubt.
Very
So
good.
in my conversation with the SCROG, it was, a meeting was the next, we kind of understand what we want to do. Now we need to meet with all the stakeholders relative to the SCROG, town engineer, yourself, myself, and those individuals in the SCROG to come up with a plan. And then I believe the next step would be to talk to the DOT with, here's our plan, after it gets developed,
Yeah.
or whatever the steps are regarding that.
Right.
And then we get on the budget for how much money we need.
DOT's gonna be like, no.
Get Vinny involved.
Was there anything else, David, I overlooked?
No, I think that's great. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thank you. The next agenda item is the bylaws. So I revised the bylaws with all our comments and questions. It's the document you have is complete package of the bylaws with changes in red, questions and comments on the right-hand margin. So I guess we could just hit the highlights on this. There's a lot of ask the town attorney for clarification, and the goal is to kind of review this today, and I'd like to vote on it, the draft, and then we'll take that draft, and then it'll go on to the attorney for review, and we can get questions back from him, and then go from there, I assume, right?
Very good.
Okay. So one of the questions, Bill, first off, was your section 4, Article 4, Section 3. You had some questions and comments. So I added in the planning and zoning administrator or duly authorized designee as applicable shall attend. So I put that in there as an alternate, and then we'll ask the attorney on how he feels, and I'll leave these comments in there accordingly. Throughout the document, on this section here, Article 5, Section 4, his or her has been changed throughout the document. Section 7, I just added planning and zoning. Section 6 was October meeting instead of our May meeting, our annual meeting. Quorum is 3 members. Meetings, the Article 7, Section 1 was changing the time from the meeting from 6:30 to 7. And then to answer your question, Bill, we had unless noticed otherwise.
Why was it, I didn't get the 6:30 to 7, is that what we were saying going to be?
We wanted to, well, the issue was that we're having you folks, everyone attend. So we thought moving it back would be more conducive so other people can eat and do whatever they need to do and get here on time.
Yeah. I,
That was the only reason for the change, so that we'd have more bodies in the seats.
we sent that, well, I mean, not that we can't revise the calendar,
Yeah.
I
exactly.
prefer 6:30, that's just me, because we had moved it from 7 to 6:30. Okay.
Or you don't need to put a time in there at all.
Yeah, that was my original comment. I thought it got so specific in the bylaws, like why would it have to be in a bylaw?
Why chain yourself into
Yeah,
something?
that was my original
An
comment.
agreed upon time by the commission?
I think it just has to be noticed appropriately, that's the
Yeah.
law, so it's just whatever it's noticed, you know?
More general?
Questions, comments? Barry, how do you feel? Does it matter to you?
No, I think the time should be given to, if people wanted to attend, they should have the time, but as long as it's on the town's website, we should be fine.
I'm in the opinion that we should have a locked-in time
I like
for
that.
scheduling and things like that. Shouldn't change at all, really. I think we should agree upon a time, lock it in, because I don't know about everybody else, but I plan things out 6 months. Yeah, I have trips planned out in next
Let's
September.
be clear, we're
you know, so
not
I like-
saying we wouldn't lock the time in, I'm saying you don't put it in the bylaw, though.
I think having in the bylaws, we just have it very crystal clear, and it's there, it's locked in. I don't mind having it there, I think I would lean towards leaving it in there.
Scott, how do you feel about it? What's your opinion?
I don't think it necessarily needs to be set in stone in bylaws, just it's communicated regularly, based on availability of members.
Okay. David, I throw it back to you on any statute that's dictating this. And the only reason why I threw it in there was several other towns have a start date, a start time.
There could be an ordinance that says meetings cannot start before X time, but we do not have an ordinance in North Branford that says that.
Okay?
So you can
Let's
start.
be clear, we're not saying like, this month it's 6:30, next month it's 7, in September it'll be 7:30. We're gonna agree to a time, I'm just saying I don't think
I think you would set it with your
it has to be
annual,
published and broadcast.
your annual calendar would have the time
Yeah.
that you do in December for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's predictable for a year.
Which we already agreed to already, and it's 6:30 and out there already.
I mean, I've been at commission meetings that have started at 7:30 because people like to eat, and by the time they get to the meeting, they're ready to go to sleep.
I
So,
was gonna say.
6:30 sort of
Maybe there.
early.
And it's just one less thing to change if, in 20 years, when there's new commission members, it's just one less thing to change if it changes. The time.
That was my only point.
Okay.
At the beginning of the year, if we decide next year 7, then we have to also modify our bylaw. It just seems, we're not gonna change once we agree to the time, it's gonna be the time. It just doesn't have to be. The bylaws is more permanent than the calendar that goes out every year.
So I would suggest this, how about we just modify the language on this section to read regular meetings will be held on the first and third Thursday of each month, excluding July, August, and December.
Yep.
Okay.
And since we already put it out, we can always change it any time, at any point in time, moving forward.
That's more than mine, so. it's
All
easy.
right? So next section in this article is section 3. We were discussing stuff that should be emailed electronically. Staff shall prepare and mail or send electronically as appropriate based on topics and/or content size for agendas, blah, blah, blah. That was the only add-on in that one. It kind of summarizes what's going to be emailed or electronically sent.
Mhm.
So I think that kind of covers it. Section 7 of this article is an end time, which we were not sure of, so we're going to ask the attorney. Any comment on that, David?
No, I think asking the attorney is the way to go.
Okay.
Can you, I've been in, we did it several times for these long meetings, and I think Branford had it, where they ahead of time say, we're going to end. Can you do it that way? Has that been your experience? Like
I,
it's a public hearing, and there's a lot of people who say, we're going to close this hearing at 11 tonight. So at 11,
I think if you say
I
it
think
far
you
enough
have-
ahead of
that's what I
time,
mean, yeah.
you're probably okay.
we'll get clarity.
I think if you say it at 10:30, you're going to stop in half an hour. That's-
No, of course, I
Well,
think it
we'll
has to be,
riot.
it was like the
It's
very
about
beginning of the
10,
meeting, it was said, or even the opening of the public hearing.
I'd ask the attorney.
Yeah.
Okay, ask the attorney. There you go. Other business, Article 9, we have, we reordered our agenda to read old business, then new business. instead of new to old in our discussions.
Yes.
Yep.
We flip those around to make that more conducive to get those people here back
Yeah.
to get out. And then this last section here, the minute book. David, any clue what that is?
That was a minute book. Where's that?
Proceeds for,
Minutes.
Follow that up.
it's probably right, though. It's based on chapter 124, section 8-7A of the statutes.
That was probably from your old bylaws, right?
No, a lot of the other towns had that language, that's exact language in there.
Really?
So I just like, okay, I better ask what that is, because I don't know.
We'll ask the attorney.
Add that red box in, ask attorney.
The public record, right? Probably your past minutes, I guess.
I mean, everything's part of the public record.
Article 11,
So,
section.
I'm sorry to
Go
interrupt.
ahead, go right ahead.
I don't know where it was, but did we ever resolve? I can't really see this, but remember we talked about this
Your
a few
glasses
times
are
ago.
big.
Yeah, I know, I don't like to wear them. Where it said you would call on all proponents first and then opponents.
That's what we're
Did we
about to
ever,
do.
did we ever
Yeah.
clarify that?
That's the
Might
next
not have-
one.
Oh,
We're about
I'm
to-
sorry. I saw hearing something.
Right to your point, Bill. So, the clarification was, ask the attorney.
There it is. Okay, good.
So my comment was, other towns list theirs in their bylaws, this language, what
Yeah, they do.
they do, yeah. And on several towns that you watch on TV, they say opponents, proponents.
We've never done it here in 17 years I've been here.
It's
Not that-
typically,
That doesn't make it right or wrong, I'm just saying we haven't.
it's typically up to the chairman
Yeah.
to structure the way he wants the audience to interact with the commission. Anything is fine as long as the public is given a chance to speak.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
I'm thinking that it's defined by any response, all the people that were for it,
Yeah.
and then here's all the people against it. And then each one can present their views and like, oh, I don't have to ask my question because it's already answered, and I don't have to speak because that person already said it, kind of. Anyway, it's just an idea. An application may be completely different.
From the ones I've been in, they even 20 people have the same thing to say, and all 20 people still get
Yeah.
up and say it,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So the last section, Article, what's that, 14? 14. Or committees, again, ask the attorney on this one. This inspection will follow Article 7, meeting procedures for majority vote to conduct a site inspection.
There needs to be, oh,
I was a little confused on that one.
we have to vote, what's a site inspection? When we just go on a walkthrough, or no, it's an inspection, something different?
It is a walkthrough,
Like a site walk.
but it is a meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Oh, we vote, I didn't
Oh,
know
it's
we
definitely a
voted on
meeting.
that. Yeah, it's a meeting, I didn't know we voted on that. I thought it was just.
You gotta
hey.
take minutes and do everything else. You may not have a vote.
Yeah, you can only discuss things that are related to
Yeah.
the application and not.
I didn't know we
meetings and all these-
voted
There's
to
an
even have
agenda.
one.
We do it a lot in inland wetlands.
Yeah,
There's
the
rules.
agenda
Yeah.
is site walk. And the best advice I can give you about a site walk is not to say anything.
Yeah,
Just
just,
look.
exactly, just.
Mhm.
maybe that's why a vote is necessary?
I know we've done them, I don't know if we voted, it doesn't matter, we did, if it's part of the law, or we do or don't, I didn't know we were supposed to. Or maybe we
You know,
didn't, I
it's,
don't remember.
I think it's part of your zoning regulations that you can go for a
Yeah.
walk. You can have a meeting whenever you want to have a meeting, it's a special meeting. I'm not sure it's even important to have it in the bylaw, because it's not really a committee. It's the commission,
Yeah.
unless you're appointing a committee to go out and
That
talk.
should it go under meeting procedures?
I would just get rid of it.
Move it?
So if we were to create a special committee to do something, it may need, but what you just described is just the commission, right?
Yeah, it would be.
Site walks, site inspections, special meetings, it's the commission, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a special meeting.
You should just move it under Article 7.
Well, just get rid of it.
Or
I'd
move it.
get rid of it.
Okay,
It's gonna cause more of a problem.
yeah, it's a special meeting, so it falls under that, okay.
Any problem? I'm gonna get rid of it. I'll cross it off.
Yeah, I think, because it's a known, it's part of the laws and regs, so
It's
we
been
have to
there since
follow.
77, so.
One thing I don't have to ask the attorney about. That was easy. And the last one is fees for pizza party.
Yeah.
Request the planner to review, but commission will recommend changes to the town. So this was the fees that we were gonna talk about in the next section. This is Article 17, commission shall periodically request a planner to review and recommend changes to the existing fee structure related to P and Z matters. The commission will make recommendations, will recommend changes to the town based on the findings.
The findings from what?
From the town planner?
What, was this from other towns? Or where did was this at all?
Yes.
This was, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and also, we do have a fee structure in our zoning regs.
Yeah, no, it's good, because you remember when I don't know how it came to it, but we realized, maybe this is inland wetlands, no, it was inland wetlands, I'm sorry. Like, we hadn't reviewed our fee structure in like decades, and other towns were like much higher than ours. So we did that like a year ago, so it makes
So,
sense.
In order for us to do it, there needs to be an ordinance.
Yes, gotcha. Yep. I don't disagree with periodically, but that is very ambiguous too. I guess, I don't know.
Ambiguous is fine.
Yeah, probably have to keep it, because we don't want to lock in.
No.
Yeah. All right, good.
David, how would the ordinance be worded? Would it have the fee structure in it, and then would the ordinance have to change every time the fees change?
Yeah, but that's not
Not a big deal?
no. I mean, you're not gonna change them every
No.
couple,
So that goes
They're
along
always,
with your.
they're always changing ordinances,
Yes,
right?
Which could be
Makes sense.
every
Not
5 years.
always, but yeah.
Who does the ordinance come from, town council or us? Or planning?
David drafts it
Oh,
for our review, or, no? the
Town council enacts the ordinances.
Okay.
So they have a public hearing and hear from the public and enact an ordinance.
Okay, so I made some changes to the bylaws. I guess I have to go do this one more time before we vote on it, or vote on as we
I think
change
we
it
can
today?
vote on it now with the added adjustments, so we can get it over to the attorney, because we still have to see it after that anyway.
Sounds great. All right. I'll entertain a motion, I guess, to approve
Yeah, I will make a motion to approve the draft
as amended.
as amended.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Drafted as amended to go on to the attorney. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Nice work.
So next item on other business. Other business is regulation changes and land use fees. Any update on that, David?
So I'm waiting for the CCM to come back with a survey of land use fees of municipalities in Connecticut. So rather than going out and comparing a few towns on my own, I think we should just wait for the survey. It should be out in the next month or two,
Yeah.
and look at the survey and see where we fall and where we should set the fees. Seems a whole lot easier than
Work smarter, not harder.
me doing all the work.
Yeah.
As I said at the last meeting, there are a few important, easy zoning regulations that need to be done. We can no longer regulate the time frame to rebuild non-conforming structures, which our regulations say if it burned down, you haven't rebuilt it within a year, you lose all your non-conformities. You can't do that anymore. There's a whole thing in Public Act 2129 that does not allow a community to deny land use applications based on character. And a lot of our zoning regulations talk about character. So we need to sort of go through the regulations and find the word character and substitute it with something else.
Say that again?
I mean, like, it should, like the POS, Plan of Conservation Development talks about it, to maintain the rural character. Do those regulations make those kind of comments as well?
Yeah, the regulations really can't do that either.
Yeah.
So it's a
And
new
we-
The
law?
Plan of Conservation Development can,
No,
No?
it shouldn't
It
be doing it either.
really?
It is
Yeah.
like a
That's
You
all
can
over
talk-
that.
route.
You
It's
can
all over
talk
the Plan
about
of
a
Conservation
sense of place, and you can talk about physical attributes,
Wow.
but
This is
once
a
you
new
get
law?
into character, it's
2021.
like, what does
Oh.
that mean?
Dang.
Do you think we have to modify our Plan of Conservation Development? That's a.
No, I don't think we're
That's
so
a 10-year
bad.
document. I mean, we're good for another 7 years. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we're so bad
Yeah,
in
okay.
POC.
But regulations make more sense than the plan, yeah, okay. Wow,
It's just sort of
interesting.
staying away from that word character and using something else.
Gosh, that's another law.
The
I mean, there's-
rural
there's
character of
the,
North
um,
Branford, that's like everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's all throughout.
I think that's like the resounding thing
I
throughout the
gotta
Plan
say
of
that.
Conservation and Development.
And there's this affordable housing initiative that's going through the legislature to try to make more affordable housing. And the character of a neighborhood can be a buzzword that keeps communities
Mhm.
from having affordable housing because you want to keep the character of
Yeah, I can see
40,000 square foot lots and the
Hmm.
look of that town, and
Yeah.
it's a push.
Yeah.
And it's a push down from the state
Yeah.
to you.
Yep, okay.
So there's the minimum house size. You can no longer have a minimum house size. Public Act 2129. So you can build a tiny house as long as it meets the building code and the health code. So we have rather small minimum sizes, but we need to eliminate that. There are a few other sort of housekeeping items.
Okay.
So what's the plan, to do a little bit by little bit, all these changes, or?
Well, I could do sort of these easy
Find a place
changes,
all.
and we could do those sort of all at once.
Yeah.
So there would be text amendments, David?
Yeah.
And then a public hearing for
Right.
those? Okay.
But I think they're more housekeeping type changes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Just to get up to the state law, I
Yeah.
guess, right?
that might be helpful.
Right, because you opted out, you did the ADU opt-out and parking opt-out, you did those already, so you've done a few of the requirements. Accessory dwelling unit.
Yep.
Okay. Then one other item on that would be cannabis?
Correct.
Okay. Right, because we kicked that can down the road.
And how do you want to address that?
Good question.
You're the commission.
October, right? Is that when we put the
moratorium in October?
I don't
We
think,
dropped regs, because we took a really, we took a really good stab
That
at it,
was
so
all-
there's something,
That was medical, only, I would say medical only at that point. It was production and dispensary for medical.
that's already in the regs, or that just?
no,
We
that's
looked at it,
just a
yeah.
start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Started to look at that.
I totally forgot about the recreational.
Most of the cannabis regulations are regulated by the state,
Yeah.
just in terms
Yeah.
of health and safety and welfare of the community.
Yeah. To
Um,
keep it consistent.
Basically, what you can do primarily is regulate it in terms of distances from schools,
Schools,
Yeah, we
parks.
did that. We created it with the thought it was gonna go recreational, because it was
Yeah, I
on the,
think so, you're right.
it was on the table, so there's, I don't know where it is, but there's a really good draft somewhere.
Well, I'm sure I can find that, and the drafts are pretty simple. The big question is, do you want it or don't you want it?
So, people have asked me this, and does the town council get involved in this?
They already passed an ordinance, if I
Yeah,
understand, Tom.
we modified the ordinance to reflect or mirror how alcoholic beverages are, can or cannot be consumed on town properties.
Yeah.
So for instance, once they legalized weed, theoretically, someone could just go sit on a bleachers and light up a joint,
Yeah.
or whatever, however they smoke it, right?
Mm.
Because we had nothing in our ordinances saying they couldn't. So we basically went through the town attorney and basically mirrored.
I meant more,
alcohol, you know.
is the town council weigh in, is this something we want to pursue as a town to have regulations to enable these to flourish in here, or do we want to try to put restrictions or moratoriums? That's what I meant more like that. Like, as a governing body of the
Right.
town, to give us direction on, so
Yeah.
it's not just 5 people up here deciding for the town where we're gonna take this town. It doesn't seem like, it seems
Well,
like.
you're gonna have a public hearing.
Public hearing, yeah. Sure, that's where it comes out, yeah. But I just made that initial direction of where we wanted to go.
Well, I don't know, have any surveys been done, or people asked, or, you know, I mean, you've got a big agricultural
Yeah.
area here, it could be a good
I know.
growth
Did we
situation.
ever open up those regs to a public hearing? I think we did, because there were only a couple people in the audience that spoke up about it. So maybe we didn't open it up to a public
We
hearing.
must have had a public hearing to enact the moratorium.
Okay, yeah, so, and then there were just a couple of people that spoke up against it, but it was to enact a moratorium, so it was a different, you know, consideration versus, oh, we might consider this as an option in town.
Yeah, we had drafts on
Both.
medical, because it was, I remember it was production and then dispensary.
Yeah.
There were 2 separate items. Yeah, I remember that. That's all I remember. I can't remember much beyond that.
With the recreational cannabis, there's about 8 or 9 different categories. There's the transporters, and there's packagers, and there's manufacturers, and there's distributors, and there's growers, and
Yeah.
there's a bunch of different levels.
Or every category, David, have the equitable
At the moment,
component to it? Every category does, right?
at the
So they
moment.
have to fit a certain demographic and equality? No, equity. I think
Well,
that's the word.
your first distributors were all medical distributors first.
Right,
So they didn't have to have any equity.
right.
And the next ones have some sort of equity, whatever that is.
Yes. So, and then you think there's another one thereafter that would open it up to the rest of the,
Yeah.
okay.
And originally, it was set up so there could be only one distributor per town. And now they threw that out, so you could have multiple distributors.
Right, because there's one distributor per 25,000 population, and they said, okay, wow.
But that's gone.
Do we need regs to cover all those categories you just mentioned?
We would have to define them in the regulations.
Okay.
Okay. Good discussion, don't know where.
I mean,
we're
I
gonna
can,
go
I
with it.
can proceed and bring back those draft ones at the next meeting, and we can discuss it more, and you can think about whether it's a good idea to do it or not.
Fair enough. Okay. Anything I miss on other business? Anybody want to discuss?
Nope.
Okay, then we'll move on to town planners report. Anything,
I don't have anything exciting other than what we've talked about.
no new applications coming our way for next
Yeah.
time so far? Okay, other than the medical building coming back, maybe? Okay. With that being said, last item on the agenda, since Ron is not here.
I know,
does
he's supposed to be
anybody
here,
wanna
right?
take-
Oh,
Didn't he say he was gonna be here in the email?
No, he said he was gonna be here, got sick.
Huh?
He got sick.
Oh, I was gonna say, is he okay? If he said he was gonna be here and he's not.
I think it falls to me.
You the next senior.
I'm not happy
You just
about
let
this
us
either,
figure
right?
it out.
I got
You
my
just let us
glasses
figure
now,
it
oh my
out.
God, doing the adjournment, all right, I move to adjourn.
All right, second,
Second.
discussion, all in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carries, meeting adjourned.